Welcome back to the Dally Diaries. Kristel here. If you haven't been here before, this is a channel where we talk about all things makeup and beauty, and we do it in a fun way and a kind way. And we definitely are a really happy little team here. Small but mighty, I like to say. So if you love sparkly shades, if you love multi-chromes, if you love color, basically any kind of makeup at all, you're in the right place. So today I am going to be doing a list of my top 15-ish palettes for this year, for 2022. Now, I did think about ranking these and doing them in an order, but I realized that that would actually break my little heart into a million pieces. I just can't do it. I am the world's worst decision maker. I'm a procrastinator from way back, and it would just be too difficult. So instead, I'm just going to show you in no particular order, except I think maybe I'll save my very favorite for the end, the number one position, so to speak. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Also, I have the cutest koala Christmas t-shirt in the whole world, and it does say koala la 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 la. So just a moment to appreciate that. Okay. All right, so this year has been for me the year of the eyeshadow palettes. I've really gone to town. I would like to remind you that I pick my products up always when they're on sale though, because not made of money. And also I like to use payment plans where I can. So don't think that if you can't afford all of these things that you're alone, because you are not. It is something that I have to budget for and work in, and I take advantage of sales when they happen. So kicking off with just a little mini palette. Now this one is small, but it is impressive. And this is from Colourpop. It is one of the neon palettes that they released. Now, I know that these palettes copped a lot of flack from people that were like, you can't call it a neon palette if it only has one neon in it. I don't really care about that. What I care about is I really enjoy the quality of these mattes. I really enjoy these shimmers, and the neon color itself, the coral, is really beautiful. Now, what I really like about this palette is the neutrals though, because they're warm, they're soft, and this is just a really wearable palette. I really enjoy it. Let me just swatch a couple of the shades for you. So those are the two shimmer shades, obviously, and then you've got that bright coral there. I really enjoy this palette, and I don't think it's available anymore, but it's an example of sometimes things don't have to be expensive and don't have to be massive to be useful. This is a very useful palette in my collection because I love warm neutrals. So that is that one from Colourpop. It is called the Moon Haze palette. I don't think I mentioned that. Okay, moving on, we have now a palette that I picked up, I would say about halfway through the year, and this palette is by an indie brand called Cosmic Brushes. Now this is the Royal Rose palette. I know that you may have heard of Cosmic Brushes because of their Serenity palette, which was more of a blue leaning palette, but I was definitely keen to get this one because it just stole my heart with all the beautiful pinks and purples, the beautiful yellow, coral, the reddy shades. Like, these colors are right up my alley. They really are. They speak to me. And that green, stop it, gorgeous. Yeah, I thought this was a really beautiful color story. So I picked it up, not having used any of the Cosmic Brushes products before, and I was really impressed. It is something that I also reach for quite often when I'm using some of my multi-chrome pigments that I just need to have a nice pink matte through the crease for, or situations like that where I quite often use the mattes in this palette. But let me just swatch a few of my favorite ones for you. Okay, so you can see the stunning shimmers there. Look at that green. It is spectacular. That hot pink matte I really love, and I love the shade of that yellow matte as well. I don't have a yellow matte the same as that, and I really like it. So those are some beautiful shadows in the Cosmic Brushes Royal Rose palette, and I also like that there are the earthy tones in there. So you've got the brown, you've got the red, the sort of terracotta shade. It's got a lot of versatility in this palette, and I have no regrets about picking up the Royal Rose palette from Cosmic Brushes. Okay, next up, this is actually not strictly an eyeshadow palette because it is a full face palette, but it is by Natasha, Denona, and it is the Glam Face palette. Let me just polish that for you. Yeah, it is the Glam Face palette in light. I only picked this up a couple of months ago. I was really just drawn to the shimmers in this lineup because they are stunning. Let me swatch them for you. I mean, stunning. They're so darn sparkly and shiny, and the neutrals in here are lovely as well. Might as well go the whole hog. Okay, so just really nice, soft, neutral brown shades. So you can do a really natural look if that is more what you're into, and then if you're going out at night you can just add a tiny little bit of sparkle, or you can get a really gorgeous ethereal neutral sparkle shine going on your eye. I also love the blush in this palette. It is a cream blush that looks gorgeous on the skin, and the highlighter, whew, the highlighter packs a punch. Look at that girl. So beautiful. All in all, I think that is a really beautiful palette from Natasha Denona, and I'm glad I have it in my collection. I think it'll be great for travel. Okay, so this one was another one I picked up this year. Actually, I might be pushing it because I might have got it at the very end of last year. But anyways, we're gonna chuck it in. This is Pat McGrath Labs Mothership palette in Huetopian Dream. Now, I do actually have another Mothership palette from Pat McGrath. It is the Divine Rose 2 palette, and I did also pick that one up this year. In fact, I bought that after this one, but this one is my favorite out of the two, and it is because of the stunning purpley shade and the stunning, I don't even know what shade that is, soft pale pink to gold shifty shade. So these are the shades that Pat McGrath is famous for, and they are very pretty. You do definitely need to use some kind of primer underneath, or they will migrate a little bit down your face and you will get fallout when you apply them. But those two shades are so beautiful. I love those shades. There's also a really beautiful gold in the palette, shimmery gold there. This is another really pretty color. There is, oh yeah, this one here is a duochrome. It's not my favorite duochrome. Just in general, I don't really enjoy the dark red to dark green look. However, I have used it a couple of times and quite enjoyed it with the rest of the colors in this palette. I love this peachy color as a transition shade. These are lovely, quite soft, rosy neutrals. There's quite a bit of versatility in this palette, and I do enjoy it. It is the Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette that I have enjoyed the most out of my purchases of Pat McGrath makeup. However, I have found that I haven't really reached for it much in the second half of the year. Now, one palette that I have got so much use out of, and I'm including this because I think it's good to have a clean option for those of you who don't want to wear chemicals as much as possible on their face. This is by Inika Organic. This is an eyeshadow quad. Inika Organic is an Australian makeup brand, and they have some beautiful products, and I'm a big fan of a lot of the things that they put out, especially this palette. This is such a beautiful, warm toned palette, perfect for everyday looks. And it looks amazing with a red lip. Amazing with a red lip. The orangey shade here, oh my gosh, I love this shade. Let me swatch these for you. So I love to use that matte orangey shade right up through my crease. And then I might darken up with a little of the brown in the outer V. Tend to put this gorgeous gold shade on the middle of the lid, the mobile lid, and then use this as a corner highlight. And it just looks beautiful every time, and I can't fault it. And I love that it's organic, and it's just a beautiful product. So well done to Inika Organic on that little quad. Now, one I picked up really recently, and you might have watched the video, hopefully you have. If you haven't, you can check it out because there is a big one on there. This is the Ace Beauté Classical Paradise palette, and it was my very first foray into Ace Beauté. And this is how she looks on the inside. It is a lovely palette. It does look quite autumny, really nice for those cooler days. The shimmers in here are lovely. So you get out of the 12 shades, I think 5 shimmers. Yeah, 5 shimmers. I counted that so quickly. And they are gorgeous, nice and shiny, and they look like, just like molten. So I think that's a really beautiful palette. I love the mattes in this palette. They blend out absolutely beautifully. No complaints whatsoever. Very happy with this palette. And it's a good one for you if you prefer things a little bit more on the neutral side. Got you covered. All right, now I'm being a little bit cheeky here because I am including 3 for the price of 1. Okay, So these are from Kaleidos from the Futurism collection. I do also have the Electro Turquoise palette, but I don't wear that one as much because I don't wear blues all the time, and I also don't very often do blue and orange together, even though they look really good together. And I did like that palette. But the ones that I have in my hands here, I have the Lunar Lavender palette. I love the way these open too. They're so beautiful. The artwork and just everything about these is gorgeous. The shades in here are so beautiful. The two sparkly shades, I mean, gorgeous. So they have a shift to them. It's kind of hard to see on this, but they have a little bit of a shift to them. They're very ethereal, very iridescent looking. Just beautiful. And the mattes are soft and blendable as well. So a big fan of the Lunar Lavender. I also have in that set the Sashimi City palette, which is really cool. Very like obviously Japanese architecture inspired, modern Japan. This one is another great one if you like neutrals, but you like a little something special. You're going to get that with this palette because firstly, I love warm neutrals. They're my favorite kind, so this is bang on. But you also have two really beautiful shades in here that have shifts to them. So that beautiful one there, and then also this one. I do have a dedicated video up about this palette as well. Let's just swatch those next to the other ones so you can see what they look like. So Lunar Lavender's down here, and then Sashimi City up the top here. So they're beautiful. I love all of those. And the third one in the Kaleidos Futurism set that I really wanted to include here is actually the one that surprised me the most. Now this is the Astro Pink palette. It's so pretty to look at. The Astro Pink palette really blew my mind because I didn't really think I was gonna like it that much. I really wasn't sure about the color combination in this palette, the color story. However, it blew me away. It is such a beautiful little 6-pan palette. The combination of all of these shades together, creates magic on my eyelid. It really, really does. Here's a couple of them swatched for you. Absolutely gorgeous. The blue multichrome next to the lavender silver multichrome, and then this matte, gorgeous pinky berry purple shade look incredible on the eye. And then if you chuck in the little black to deepen it up, you have got something seriously glam but seriously unique and special. And that is something I'm here for. I love it when I get surprised by a product, and I love it more than I imagined I could. So well done to Kaleidos. I love that set. Now, all these palettes I'm talking about didn't necessarily come out in the last year, but they're ones that I added to my collection in the last year. Now, I know this is cheating, but I had to do it anyway. Sorry guys. Not playing by the rules, but it's my channel, so my rules. I really wanted to include, even though these didn't come as a palette and I bought an empty palette and put things together in the palette, my Terra Moons eyeshadows. I have another one here, and this is actually the empty Terra Moons Cosmetics case. Now, if you haven't watched my Terra Moons videos, you definitely need to do that because they will blow your mind if you haven't tried Terra Moons before. The formulas are so stunning. Oh, I can't speak highly enough of Terra Moons. I'm such a fan of their eyeshadow formulas. I mean, some of my favorites. How do I even choose? I don't know. If you want shine, how's this for shine? Look at that. It's luminous. Stunning. So that's just like a one color. But if you want to get crazy, you want to get into some multi-chrome action. Yeah, one of my favorites is Light Year. Look at that multi-chrome. Oh, she's just the most spectacular color. I never ever get sick of swatching that and looking at it. It is so beautiful. So that's just two of my Terra Moons shadows, but let me go for another one. You want some color? You want something a little bit more bam? They've got that too. Lost in Space, one of my other faves. So beautiful. There she is in all her fuchsia to bluey, purpley glory. I can't even, I don't even know. These are just all stunningly spectacular. How does one choose? I don't know. Here, here's another one. I have to be very careful this doesn't turn into a Terra Moon swatching party because that's what happens when I get started, I can't stop. There's another one of the Terra Moon's shadows. Just so shiny, so multichromatic. That one there is, I think, Cosmic Dancer. Oh no, sorry, the Cosmos. Yeah, they're all incredible. So yes, I did sneak those two in together. Sorry about that. Okay, but the next one is genuinely a palette that comes as a palette. God, it makes me so sad to wipe beautiful eyeshadow off my hand. This was the Blossom Passion from Ace Beauté. So if you love color, if you love hot pinks, you love reds, you love corals, this is the palette for you. But another cool thing about this palette is that it also has these sort of more neutral pinks here. Well, not neutral, but you know, muted. I love that it has a really dark color that goes amazingly with every other color in the palette. And I love that there is this lovely lighter matte as a transition shade, which is actually really nice. It looks so much better on the eyelid than it does in the pan. And I think it's because the packaging is so similar to the color of the eyeshadow. But these are some more gorgeous shades. And for someone who loves bright colors, this is definitely ticking that box for me. Just gorgeous. Whee! So that one, again, from Ace Beauté. Very happy with that purchase and how everything blends out together. Okay, next up we have a bit of a surprise one for me for a couple of reasons. Now, I have got a whole bunch of Huda Beauty palettes and I've never really been that blown away by them, if I'm being honest, and I don't reach for them very often at all. I also have one of the small 9-pan palettes from Huda that I absolutely hate and despise and think is just rubbish. And that one I think may pop up when I do a Huda Beauty palette ranking video, which I think is coming soon as well. But this one is a 9-pan palette and it is the Wild Jaguar palette and I really like it. Now, the other reason this is surprising is because I rarely wear cool tones and I hate gray eyeshadow. I really hate gray eyeshadow. But this is a surprising palette because it does have those cooler tones. It has that beautiful silver here. But it also then goes to the other spectrum and has this lovely pale gold in the palette, which I really enjoy that combination. I also love this little lavender sparkly shade from the middle of the palette and enjoy the really warm chocolate brown in there. I think this is a really good palette and actually I don't think any of these shades are duds, which is quite unusual for Huda because I feel like in every other Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette I have, there is at least one shade that I think is just a total dud. So big fan of the Wild Jaguar palette, do recommend that one and it's a really cool package as well. Look at that. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, we are down to the final 5 palettes I'm going to be talking about in today's video. And you know I didn't put these in any particular order, but I will say that the 5 that I have in front of me are potentially some of my favorites for the year. Yeah, okay, so first up, let's get into Michaela Part 2 from Glamlight. Now this was my first time using the Glamlight formula and I really enjoyed it. It surprised me, in fact, probably better than I thought it was. I remember saying in the video that I did about the Michaela Part 2 palette that this black was potentially one of the best blacks I've ever used. And I stand by that. It's really easy to use that black in this palette and it's lovely. I also think the shimmer shades in this palette are stunning. They're a little bit creamier, a little bit more emollient. So if you have oily eyelids like I do, you might want to wear an eyeshadow base underneath if you're worried about creasing. I actually haven't noticed though, like they didn't come off my eyes or anything like that. And I just think it's a really stunningly beautiful jewel toned palette. There's a lot of really lovely shades in here. And I really enjoy the inclusion of this popping shade or poppin' shade. It's poppin', bro. This one, it has quite a shift to it. So it's got a real pinky shift to it that I can see. So from a white silver to a pinky hue. And Cloud 9 is gorgeous. Look at that. These are so shiny. Some of the shiniest shades in my collection. Oh my God, this one's amazing. That's what it's called. Oh my God, absolutely beautiful. Oh yeah, another stunning one in the palette is You. This really deep midnight blue slash purpley shade. I mean, these are beautiful, and this soft blue as well is absolutely gorgeous. That's called I Love You. They are so damn shiny. Look at my fingers. So damn shiny. Big fan of the Glamlight formula, and I will definitely be keeping an eye out for future palettes from Glamlight. I'm just waiting for a color story that I really love to come out, and I will be right on it. In fact, I'm very tempted to get the Strawberry Shortcake palette because I love Strawberry Shortcake too, so that may be happening. Just waiting for sales. And of course that was a new release, so yeah. Okay, next up we have got a palette from Odin's Eye, and I do have a few Odin's Eye palettes as well. I really enjoy Odin's Eye products. I think the way that they package things is absolutely divine, as you can tell from this particular palette, which is the Hella palette. It was a collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. So if you watch her videos, you would know all about this palette. It is so beautiful, and it came with a stunning headscarf as well. I do have a dedicated video on this palette too, so it's worth checking it out. I love the greens in this palette. They are beautiful. I don't often use these ones down the bottom here. I honestly was mildly confused about why this color was in here, but it is lovely. But it just, to me, didn't really go. But now, having said that, if you wanted to do like a pinky look, that would go well with the pinks. But I tend to gravitate more towards the top half of the palette because it's got beautiful grungy greens, but it also has one of my favorite greens in any palette that I have. It is the shade Venom, and when I wear that on my eyes, people lose their minds. Everyone's like, what are you wearing? It's stunning. And it really is. It's a beautiful, beautiful green. Ugh, love that green. Absolutely gorgeous. So a very big fan of the Hella palette, and I always enjoy using it. The quality is great, the formulas are great, and the colors, really, those greens are to die for. All right, I'm down to my final three. Okay, so we have got a palette that many people have already known and loved and used many times over, but it did have a re-release this year. The formula was changed up, and that is the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics. Now, if you've watched this channel throughout the year, you would see me using so many Melt Cosmetics products because I love their gel liners. I think they're amazing, and I also am obsessed with their blush lights. Their blushes are beautiful. I love them. I have quite a few of them, and I will pick up more because they're just so good and they just look so stunning on the skin. The blush light, cream blush light in Lynx is beautiful for a bronzy shade, and Golden Hour is beautiful as almost a highlight on my skin color. But yeah, it's beautiful. So back to the palette though. This is the Gemini palette. It has been reformulated. I didn't use the original, but I love this palette so much. I love the grungy greens and the mustards and the champagne-y gold. There's nothing I don't like about this palette. And the embossing of the flowers is absolutely beautiful as well. But I will, of course, show you some of my favorite colors out of this palette. So there's those 4 shades. Now, look, it's not the shiniest formula in the world, but it just looks magic on the eyes with the mattes. It just gives you a beautifully fierce eyeshadow look. What I might do actually throughout this video, if I remember to do it, and if I can find photos of some of the looks that I've done, I will just insert them. And if I don't do that, it's because I forgot. Sorry, guys. But I absolutely recommend the Melt Gemini palette, and I think I'm gonna have to get the Gemini 2 palette as well because I've been so loving the formula of the palette. Final 2, guys, final 2. And I would say that these 2 are actually, they are probably my favorites. Look at me going out on that limb. Oh, it's breaking. Okay, so the 2 palettes I have in my hands are also very different to one another. So let's do this guy. This is from Colourpop. This is the California Love palette. Again, this only snuck in as one that I have picked up in the last year. I love this palette so much. It is worth every cent. And to be honest, it's not really costing that many cents in the first place. So this palette is just an absolute dream for anyone that loves yellow golds, anyone that loves a bit of shimmer, that loves a warm brown. This palette has you covered, and I create the most beautiful looks with this palette every single time. Again, this looks stunning with a red lip or an orange lip. Just beautiful. The shimmers are creamy. The payoff is excellent. The mattes are fantastic. Love the yellow in this palette. Love the warm brown in this palette. Love the shimmery gold in this palette. I love everything in this palette, is what I'm saying. And this is a 12 pan palette, in case you're wondering. You could see me processing how many pans that had, couldn't you? So this is just a brilliant, brilliant palette. I recommend this 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 recommend this palette. Pick it up. If you love warm tones, what are you waiting for? You're not going to go wrong with this. You're not going to regret it. It's so well priced and it's such a great palette. Now, it does have one pressed glitter in it, and I am not a huge pressed glitter fan. In fact, I'd prefer probably when palettes don't have them in it. But I will say that the one pressed glitter in this palette, which is called El Capitan, is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I'll see if I can capture the sparkle in that. Probably not, but it just looks beautiful. It's golden, but it has little kind of pinky flecks of glitter in it. It's quite special, and it does look amazing in the center of the eye. So yeah, California love from Colourpop. Highly recommend. And last but not least, and you might be able to guess this if you've been watching my channel, because I have been having the most fun with this particular palette, and it is indeed the palette that I chose to wear to my work Christmas party just the other day. And it is by an Australian indie brand, which makes me the happiest because obviously I'm Australian. And this is the Glamorous palette from Glaminatrix. Let's open her up and take a peek inside. Look at the glory of this darn palette. They have killed it with this palette. It's the one I have on my eyes today too, just in case you're wondering. And I love this palette so much that there are actually 2 videos with looks from it. Oh, I was blown away when this came. When I put this on my eyes for the first time, and you'll see it in the video if you go back and watch it, because it was a first impressions video as well as I did a makeup look. My heart lit up like a bloody disco ball. It is beautiful. I love the warm berries. I love the shimmers in this palette. They are so glittery, so sparkly. The duochrome aspect as well. Like, look at that mint. Look at that stunner. Isn't it gorgeous? And then this duochrome twinkle has that golden, pale golden appearance, but it also gives off a pink when you look at it in different light, and it has sort of bluey sparkles in it. Absolutely spectacular. Dreamy, the color Dreamy. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this. Oh, it looks so glamorous on the eye. The purpley blue. I have to put these on my hands for you. I mean, look at the shine on those. You can barely even see it because they're so shiny. But they are spectacular. And the mattes have been so well curated in this palette. I love the color story so much. I think every shade in here is just beautiful. I love them all. And I love this as the dark matte. It's a deep, deep berry shade, very deep, and it's beautiful. I have nothing but good things to say about this palette. I adore it. I highly recommend picking up the Glamorous palette if you can get your hands on it. And well done to Glaminatrix. You guys have really nailed it. I'm so proud to be Australian and to be able to review the Glaminatrix brand. So that is my collection of my favorite palettes from this year. As I said, not necessarily new, but ones that I have added to my collection. Thank you so, so much for dropping by. As always, please subscribe. I'd love to see you here again. And please like this video if you felt it was useful in some way. Thank you so much. Sending you all beautiful Christmas vibes because it is that time of the year, and I'll be back very soon. Take care. See you, bye. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, qua la 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 la.